Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Monday, May 18th. God, I start off with the wrong date. What the hell? It's Winning Cures Everything. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And we have got a ton of stuff to discuss today. Honestly, when we were talking earlier, I had no idea what was going on in the world of sports. I knew that The Last Dance was last night. That was the only thing I was focused on. I got a page worth of notes on that again. And then I start reading all this other stuff that breaks this afternoon about California and New York welcoming sports back, and you sent over the link about the South Korean sex doll incident, and Ole Miss and USC are playing. I mean, there's a ton of stuff, right? Ton of stuff.
Well, let's get into the show or finish our intro and then get into the show. Because you just got into the show.
The show is brought to you by Tunica, Mississippi, the South's premier sports gambling destination. That's right. They are back. They are open. Everything's good to go. They do obviously have some different things put in place, some different policies to make sure everybody is safe and whatnot. I think the poker tables are going to have like the little glass things on them, from what I understand, at least some of them. McKinnon already jumps in on the chat. Facebook is rolling. Tyrone said, hey, what's up? Michael said, what's up, fellas? On Twitch, yes, that's right. Tunica, Mississippi casinos are back open. We are ready to rock and roll. They've got 6 incredible sports books. You can find more information about them over at tunicatravel.com. Go do yourself a favor. They got all sorts of stuff going on down there. Matt jumps in on the YouTube as well. Tunica, Mississippi, tunicatravel.com is the website. You are going to want to check that stuff out. We promise, especially for football season. But they got other stuff going on that they'll be good to go with. So check it out, tunicatravel.com. You can find us at winningcureseverything.com. All of our picks, previews, podcasts, video, social media platforms, and the new website should be up, honestly, within the week. So I'm feeling good. I've got a lot done on it. I may put it up even if it's not totally complete because I'm sick of waiting on it because I feel good about it. So I will have that up later on this week. But you can subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to all your live feeds, whatever. We're on Periscope. We're on Twitch. We are on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, etc. And then any of your favorite podcast apps. Make sure you leave a nice comment, a nice review, and share the show with your boys. All of you guys that are watching right now on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, etc., do us a favor and share that show out. So just tell your friends about it. You don't even have to say anything. Just post it. Just click the share button. That would help out more than you know. Tyrone said, what's up, baby blue?
What's up?
I like this. I like the color, buddy. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
I appreciate that.
So we're glad to have Tunica back on board, back open and whatnot. I cannot wait to get down to the casinos just in time for Memorial Day weekend and all that good stuff. It's going to be a good time. So, again, tunicatravel.com. Go check them out. Check us out, winningcureseverything.com. Let's fire into the topics here. The first one up. Ole Miss and USC have scheduled a home-and-home for 2025-2026. Now, before we get into the debate over why it has to be so far away, let's discuss how cool this could possibly be, right? These two teams have never played each other. You've got Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, former USC head coach, former USC offensive coordinator under Pete Carroll, and USC, from their college football account today, their official account, shared out and said, hey, at Lane Kiffin. Like, I love when stuff like that pops up. They said, sup, Lane Kiffin. I love this kind of stuff, right? There is obviously a storyline here. The two teams have never played. The last time that USC did a home-and-home with an SEC team, they played Arkansas. And when they traveled to Fayetteville, they beat them 70-17. Now, this was during the Pete Carroll heyday and all that. I think that the reason that USC is willing to schedule somebody like Ole Miss in a home-and-home is because they don't view them as a threat.
They don't at all.
I would venture to say that Lane Kiffin, if he is still the coach, obviously he is going into his first season in 2020. In 5 years, he could be completely gone. He could be out of here. He could have a bigger job. Any number of things. But I think there is a very realistic chance that he has got them rolling in close to the same way that Hugh Freeze did, and I don't know about the recruiting stuff, anything like that. I'm just throwing it out there. When Hugh Freeze had it rolling, Ole Miss was a really good football team. They can get guys. So I think that there's a chance that we could see a good Ole Miss squad going up against a USC team that who knows where this team is going to be. Everybody thought they were going to fire their coach last year. Who knows what's going to happen? I think this could end up being a really good series. What say you, Chris?
It's 5 years from now. We have no idea what these teams are going to look like then. It doesn't matter. USC could be back to old school USC kicking people's ass and winning the Pac-12 year in and year out. And Ole Miss, there's no telling where they could be in the realm of the rebuild. If Lane is incredible in his first 4 seasons, he could jump to a big boy job.
Yeah.
Big boy job easily by then. And then this is all pointless and moot. I hate that they do these things so far out because we don't know where these teams are going to look at that point in time.
Yeah,
like
you're right.
If you were to do this in 2 years, then you get Ole Miss 2 years to get into a rebuild and to change the way they look and to do some other things. And then USC, I would assume, is going to look a little bit like they look now. If they're going downward, they're not going to go down much more than they already are because they're still USC and still going to be able to get the best talent in California.
Yes.
And if they make a coaching change or things happen and Clay Helton kind of turns the corner, then they could be on the upward swing. But either way, I think when they play, if Lane is still there, it's going to be a fun and great matchup. Problem is we're projecting a lot for 5 years down the road.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Tyrone on Facebook said Notre Dame will kick USC's ass again. It probably this year. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. They didn't beat their ass last year. They've been about 3 points. Matt on YouTube has a lot to say about this. First, he said, I missed football so bad this weekend I went to the UPS store just to boo the Packers. So, of course, we love that. We love that one. Obi Matt, again, I would love to see those SoCal boys come down to the humidity in Mississippi. 100%. I mean, that's one of the advantages that Ole Miss will actually have, depending upon when they actually schedule the game. And then on top of that, Matt said Lane Kiffin will probably have Ole Miss under some investigation by then. And then McKinnon on Facebook said, can we just all agree USC is consistently the most overrated team going into every season? I wouldn't say every season. Last year, I mean, they outplayed expectations. I mean, they went 8-4. They were a game out of
their expectations were pretty low last year.
Yeah.
I don't know that they were overrated by anybody.
No. Now, a lot of the time, for sure, Ben jumped in and said Texas is. Yeah, probably.
Yes. That is probably – well, last year we will all unanimously agree Nebraska was because they had like the third best odds to win the national championship, and I believe they might have sniffed out 4 wins.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. That's 100%
So
correct.
all of these other people get swept under the rug until somebody settles the hell down about Nebraska.
People seem to really think that Nebraska is going to be pretty decent again this year.
Because they believe in magic.
But their schedule is tough, man. Nebraska could easily be a team that goes 6-0 to start with and then loses the last 6 games. That's how difficult that schedule is. Just off the top of your head, like USC, Ole Miss, fun, weird matchup. Yeah. Lane Stapp Gaming said, I'm an Ole Miss fan. I cannot wait for this. I think Ole Miss at this point is in rebuild mode, but USC is a lot better. But Kiffin may know what he's doing since Kiffin came from FAU. McKinnon said, fair point. And then, coming from FAU last season. Yeah, I mean, Kiffin did well at FAU. Really well.
He's done well everywhere he's gone except USC. He did even fine there. Yeah. Let's look back. He just didn't meet their standards of competing for a national championship and winning 10 games every year.
Correct. So, off the top of your head, what would be a weird, fun matchup? And I know I'm putting you on the spot, and I apologize. It just popped into my head. But what would be one like a USC Ole Miss that would be off the wall, kind of fun to see?
I mean, it's basically the same contrast of you're taking Pretty Boy California and you're bringing it to Pretty Boy Mississippi. Okay? Which pretty different and Pretty Boy frat
Are you going UCLA
stuff.
and Mississippi State or?
No, UCLA's not Cowtown, LA. Come on. come on. UCLA is still damn pretty boy UCLA.
No, you're right. You're right.
I don't know. It would be some contrasting thing like that where these two are basically, you've got two schools that are, I think outside of the winning, take the winning record, the stereotypes about USC are probably more closely aligned with the stereotypes in the SEC with Ole Miss. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like, take records away, take how good they've been at different things away, because that has to do with money and the size of your school and your fan base. That's a totally different thing. But I'm going to bet that USC fans go to a lot of football games in flip-flops and khaki shorts and button-up T-shirts. So
Tyrone said Idaho State versus Alabama.
Well, that's kind of the same team versus the same team.
Yeah.
And that's not really true. Alabama's not that team.
Michael
anymore.
said, I'd love to see Texas versus Texas A&M. So he's an A&M
that's the
fan.
game I want.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the styles anymore. All the fans in the world want this game, and the administration wants nothing to do with it.
I think, Texas A&M, God, who would – there's nothing fun for Texas A&M. Like, at Washington State and Mississippi State, Michael Leach jumped to the same school just in the SEC.
That didn't really change.
Change anything, but that would be fun to watch, I think. Washington and Tennessee, that could be fun.
What needs to happen is the little school has to have gotten the new good coach.
Yeah.
And the big school has to be on the downside, or else you don't. Because Washington State, Mississippi State, not close. Not close. I like Rolovich, love Rolovich, think a lot about him, but the talent gap between Washington State and Mississippi State ain't close. In the trenches, Washington State's gonna get murdered.
Oh, absolutely.
They can't hang. You would need the big coach to leave the big school. You would need Nick Saban to leave and to go coach at Iowa State, and then Iowa State, Alabama play.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about here. You're talking about the coach that left the big school and for whatever his reasons has landed in the little school and is trying to get the little school back, and the big school's never reached its old potential, and now they're playing. That's the contrast I'm trying to find. That's really hard to find.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But that's the story you're looking. Lockley in Alabama, maybe if Saban never left and Alabama kind of started going through their lulls.
I think the matchup, everybody in the early 2010s, everybody wanted Oregon and Alabama. I think that'd be a really fun matchup right now to have a home and home. Put Alabama in Eugene, bring Oregon down to Tuscaloosa. That would be a lot of fun. Matt said Alabama versus the Cleveland Browns. Let's see. Tyrone, of course, is laughing here. Ben said Texas's AD refuses. And Mike said, Ben, because they are afraid to get that ass kicked. I'd love to see a Power 5 Texas
I will tell you this. A&M's athletic department and president and administration's pretty hell-bent on that never happening again either. That is a rivalry that went too far.
Yes.
And as much as I want to see those teams play, because I do think they're pretty equal footing right now, I think that hatred might be too bad to where it's just not worth it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree. Lane Stapp Gaming said, ever since Hugh Freeze left, Ole Miss has struggled. Well, truth is, they've been under NCAA probation.
Because they replaced Hugh Freeze with Matt Luke.
Yeah. And on top of that, they've had NCAA sanctions put on them.
And they couldn't recruit the way they normally would. They couldn't get the scholarship athletes because they didn't have the scholarships. It's tough. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's really tough. You cannot miss. Tyrone said Alabama cannot beat an NFL team. 100%. We know that.
No college team could ever do that.
Yeah.
Matt's just drunk already at work. He didn't do a lot.
I love it. All right, let's dive into the next topic here. Next one here, California and New York both are saying yes to sports coming back without fans, but it is way sooner than anybody anticipated. And I have to wonder if some of this had to do with these colleges and these universities saying, whoa. You can't do this. And NFL, I'm thinking they're getting pressure from everywhere.
Nope. I'm gonna tell you one guy picked up the phone.
Who's that?
One guy. That's Roger Goodell.
You think so?
Yep.
He said, look, we ain't going to have this shit.
Because California has 3 teams, and
New York has one,
and New
two,
York
three.
Has 3, quote unquote, even 2 of them play in New Jersey, but they're based out of New York.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, I think the NFL swings the biggest stick out of any business in town in these states.
Yeah, I could believe that.
Because if those teams decided to pack their stuff and move to Florida, what they would see is other businesses say, the NFL packed up and left. Maybe we should too. And Elon Musk threatened to do it with Tesla last week. What little manufacturing and businesses that are done in California could be gone pretty quickly. And New York, the same thing. I think it was just peer pressure. And I think the biggest dog in town said, we're not doing this.
California is home to no fewer than 18 franchises across the major professional U.S. sports leagues. NBA, Major League Baseball, hockey, Major League Soccer have all been shut down due to COVID-19 since March. Newsom said he doubts fans will be able to attend sports events until the COVID-19 vaccine or substantial herd immunity has been achieved. But it's, he said that sports in the state could return in early June without spectators, provided progress continues to be made in checking the advance of the coronavirus. And California's numbers are low. Low. And so it's
statewide, that's a big-ass state.
Oh, yes. I mean, it's just massive. I think you're probably right. Like, they are feeling pressure from everywhere. And
I do think that colleges, soccer, hockey, baseball, everybody was kind of giving them pressure. But
baseball, we don't even know if we're coming back. I mean,
that's right. Baseball and basketball, we don't know if they're going to finish. And if basketball does it, I really don't think they're traveling. I think they're going to do the bubble thing for the playoffs, and that's it. So, it's just one of those things where they need to figure that out. That's not going to help the local states, but football's the moneymaker. And I'm going to tell you this: he says no fans. If every other state has
decides to have fans, they're going to end up having fans.
They're going to have to figure that out because, once again, how do you tell your team you don't have home field advantage anymore?
Oh yeah, I mean it's insane. It's crazy to think about. Lane Stapp Gaming said New York and California may have a say to have NFL's back, but Roger Goodell would say no, not on my watch. It wouldn't happen. But I think the NFL is still going to go on with or without fans. That's my opinion. Yes, 100%. 100%. Jose said FanDuel has NFL point spreads already for week 1 and 2. Yeah, basically every book.
We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, or last week, when we talked about the preseason schedule coming out.
Oh,
Man, I don't think the NFL is slowing down for anybody.
No, I think you're right. I think the NFL stops for nobody.
Like, no, I think they're going through this thing, and they're going to take their chances with people getting sick and spreading it. And they're going to, I guarantee you, back of their ticket somewhere is going to say on there, you forbid your rights to sue us if you come here and you get sick or whatever. That it's going to be the same language. That's if you get knocked out by a foul ball, it ain't on us. You break your nose, it's on you. You're here at your own risk.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they'll put the waiver on the tickets. Like, that's
people saying, well, they'll sell a third of the man. I don't know if they're even going to do that. I don't know if they're going to do that.
Well, in the NFL, you don't have to
open those gates and say, if you want to come on.
Yeah, no, 100%. McKinnon said, I can't remember who it was, and this plays back into what I was saying with the universities and whatnot, because I mean, there's a ton of universities in California, in New York, et cetera. I can't remember who it was I was watching yesterday, but they brought up the rumor that all the Pac-12 ADs apparently got together and agreed if California, Washington, and or Oregon don't allow their teams to play in-state, they could go play their quote-unquote home games in other states within the conference. Not that they had as big an impact as the NFL, but it could have been a proving point to California and New York. Like, hey, you got to do something. We have to have a season. Otherwise, we're going under.
We're going to do something without you. And it's, I'm going to tell you, it's just basically the college people don't really, well, I guess the fans would, the boosters would for these schools. They would do the same thing that the NFL does. We're going to hold our money over you.
Yeah. Let's see. Slave Driver said just on YouTube, just let everything go back to normal and let it all play out. Let everyone get it, and may the strongest survive. Yeah. I mean,
and I can't speak to the science behind it. I can't speak to, let's just open it. That's all above my pay grade. I'm just going to tell you this. I think these athletes can go back to work. And I think they can go play football, and they can play baseball, and they can play basketball. And if you're afraid to play and you don't want to do it anymore, nobody's forcing you to. Like, this isn't the old Soviet Union where all of our athletes are really in the military and they just follow orders. No.
Yeah. No, it's not like that.
You don't have to play. Blake Snell, you don't want to play. You don't feel safe. Stay home. That's okay.
You don't have to.
All right. And here's the thing. No one's going to mock you. No one's going to make fun of you. We're going to move on without you. And that's okay.
Yeah. If we have a season, you can play or you don't play.
You don't, that's right.
And if you don't play, you don't get paid.
You're not going to get paid. And you're not going to get a year accrued on your contract.
Yeah, 100%. Michael said Newsom has to backtrack on something he said. Shocker. Yeah. We've made our
when I kept saying that, though. I kept bringing that up, that it doesn't matter. All these governors at some point in time got into a dick measuring contest and said, well, I'm going to extend mine till October. And then the next one's like, well, I'm going to extend mine to 2021. And then and we just keep pushing it back. And really all they're doing is just trying to show people that they care about their people more. So I don't really know what they were proving, but they were just measuring dicks, and all they had to do was they get either any pushback or the science comes back to where it's safe to open up or whatever. They just undo everything that they did.
Yeah. Now, I read a really interesting article about the analysis and whatnot, all these statistical things that they came up with that were basically wrong. They used one company and the coding was wrong, and everybody based everything off of this one model. And
well, the one thing that's hard for me to understand is these are my people, okay? People in Italy were dying in droves.
Yeah.
And I know that country is built different than our country. But I can't understand how one country made up of a lot of different people from all different ages, this thing looked like the plague. I mean, people were putting their dead on the street because they couldn't keep them in the house. But the burial areas and the funeral homes, all stuff were so backed up. It was just like you just put grandma out on the curb. And I don't know how to explain that. We saw that happen. I don't think every politician is wrong for when they all freaked out and we shut this thing down. Because I don't know how the hell you should react when you see that.
But I don't know that you need to put a time limit on these things. Like, you can do a time limit of a month at a time.
Yeah. Well, and then the other thing that we've got to figure out is we all came out and we told everybody to lock down. And our country, for the most part, complied.
Yeah.
We all said we will follow orders when given orders that are reasonable. And we all agreed this was reasonable because we wanted to flatten the curve.
Yeah.
And then now these people are changing their tunes and they're saying, nope, we're not releasing this until we have a cure or a vaccine. And everybody said, hold on, wasn't our agreement. Our agreement was reasonable. You're changing the agreement to something unreasonable. We ain't playing that game.
Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports talked about this last week, right? And it was an incredible video. And it explained it in layman's terms very simply. You said we were working to flatten the curve, but now you're saying we're working to find a cure. Well, what if we don't ever find a cure? Like that's where it becomes an issue.
We still don't have a cure for. He brought up these points. We still don't have a cure for AIDS. We don't have a cure. Even though we have a vaccine for the flu, we don't have a cure for the flu. We don't have a cure for cancer. We still don't have cures for things. We still operate under normal processes.
Yeah.
Okay. We might not ever go back to shaking hands again. That's fine. All right. That's okay.
But we do need to be able to work.
Things in our life might change, but we still have to go back to normal life at some point.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking almost 39 million people unemployed right now. That is unreasonable and ridiculous. Like, it's just the country cannot operate. Then you have a whole
different group of people what are you working for at some point in time? Not because, and I'm not getting into the political aspect of unemployment's paying more than some of these essential jobs. Okay, that's a different argument altogether. But when you're working, what are you working for? Because I know what I work for. I work hard all year, a couple of times a year, so I can leave. I live in a place that I don't really enjoy living, okay? Olive Branch, Mississippi is cheap, all right? It's a very good cost of living. I live in
it's a nice community.
13th largest city in the country. It's not a bad community, but there's not a lot to do around the Memphis area.
No, but not for us. Like, we want football games. We want theme parks. We want fun.
There's
things
just not.
to do.
It's not Chicago. All right.
Agreed.
It's not New York. It's not LA. It's not Vegas. It's not a big city where you have Atlanta, DC. It's not those places. All right.
Yeah.
So I work really hard. So when I get a break, I can leave this place.
Yeah.
Well, right now I've worked really hard, and I've saved up, and I've got money sitting aside ready to burn right now. And I'm waiting on Myrtle Beach to open up. I'm waiting on Vegas to open up, and Gatlinburg to open up, and Disney World and these places to open back up.
And some of them are open, but you ain't going right now because there's no reason.
Open. Hang on, don't tell me Gatlinburg the restaurant's open. Okay, is the theme park open? No. Is the aquarium open? No. Oh, so I can go walk the same trail every day and eat pancakes at the same place every day? Like, at some point in time, that's nice. The water park's not open. My kids ain't going to want to do that. That's not a vacation.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely
We already walk this damn neighborhood every day. I can't go just somewhere else and just walk. I got to take these kids to do something. They're driving me crazy.
Let me jump in with the YouTube comments here. Let's see. Lane Stapp Gaming said, might as well let Alabama and Clemson fight it out for the national title because it's mostly every year those two in the championship anyway. No, that's not what we want. I want a football season, and Alabama wasn't anywhere close to it last year. So there are people that are going to have something to say. Ohio State, LSU, Georgia, et cetera. Like, you're going to have teams in there that are going to have something to say about it. Let's see. How is tennis not back, but MMA is back? You got different people running the sport. If tennis had somebody like Dana White operating it, tennis would have been back a month ago.
I've got an explanation for that because one of the podcasts to follow is produced by a guy who's really, really high up with the tennis.
All right, go ahead and tell me.
And tennis is not like golf or MMA where like 80% of the golfers live in Florida, stuff like that. Those people are all across the world and the country.
Point. Yeah.
And so in order to play, travel has to be open.
That's a good point.
Travel has to be, and tennis players, they're not private, like enough to have a tournament are not private jetters. Okay. These guys are flying Southwest like you and I. They just are.
True. Oh yeah. Because they don't make enough money. I mean, they
don't make enough money. You got the top tier that are private jetters, and then everybody else is Southwest coach.
Let's see. Let's see. Ben said this conversation happens on the show every day. Yeah, here lately it kind of has been, but I mean it's the biggest topic in the world. Well, but we got new information now, which is the two states that we were kind of trying to plan everything around changed.
Finally, everything buckled and caved and said, we cannot function unless we join everybody else or we're going to be left behind.
Damian said the players should get paid whether they do or don't want to play. They shouldn't be punished for not wanting to risk their lives just for entertainment.
But what do they do for a living?
They play
entertainment
right?
They're
for a living.
In the entertainment business for a living?
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah, that's wrong. That's just wrong. It's patently wrong.
Let's see. Lane Stapp Gaming said, I live in Jackson, Mississippi, and I want everything open. At least let places like important places be open. Let's see. Matt Miller said, DC is a cesspool. I was super disappointed visiting. It depends on where you go. Like, I love DC, man. I went to DC and I enjoyed it. So, but
I've never been, but it's on my list of places to take my kids as soon as they get big enough.
Yeah, it depends on what you do. Like,
well, it depends on what you like. Everybody likes different things.
Exactly. McKinnon said, if you got that money burning a hole in your pocket, Chris, go get some guns, my man.
No, because then I can't listen. Because then I've got guns. But shit opens up, and my kids are like, Dad, where are we going to go? And I'll be like, well, you see this new gun I got?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we were supposed to go on vacation.
Natalie jumps in, said, at least your parks are open. Our only option is to walk the roads that have no sidewalks. She lives in Costa Rica. So
is Costa Rica still closed down that much? I should know that. My uncle lives down there, but we hadn't talked about it.
Apparently so. And see, honestly, it depends on what city, depending upon what parks are open and what are not. Like we're having to walk the roads.
Tennessee opened their national parks and their state parks. So like if you were to go to the Pigeon Forge, Sevierville area, Gatlinburg area, all those national parks are open.
Let's see. Lane Stapp Gaming said, do you think Alabama will fall after Nick Saban retires, or will they still be dominant with a new coach? Look, we'll get to that eventually. Like, that's a super long, detailed thing. Damian said, why the hell should they risk their lives? They're not risking their lives. Like, they're going to have testing and whatnot in place. Like, they're not just going to ask them to go out and whatever. Like it's not like that.
Listen, I'm not saying this thing isn't serious. We have taken this thing very serious the entire time. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not a death sentence. All right. We need to stop acting like they're risking their lives. It's not a death sentence.
Agreed. Natalie said yes.
They get it. If any of these players get it, which many of them have in many sports, all right, already had it, they die. And most of them didn't even really get sick, but they've got the money for the healthcare. We worry about our country because we worry about the poorest people in our country having ample healthcare. The richest people in our country aren't dying from this thing.
There you
because they don't die from anything because they got the money to get the proper healthcare.
Natalie said yes, Costa Rica is totally closed. She said play parks and public parks.
Wow, that's crazy. Beaches too?
I would assume so. Lane Step Gaming said just sub, by the way. We appreciate that. Obviously, share the show out. Tell your buddies about it, of course. Another one said, just think if cops and firefighters thought the same way. Yeah, we'd be in a whole mess of trouble because they don't, I mean, when they started this, they didn't have any protection. Like nothing.
Nope.
They didn't have daily testing and all that, which MLB and all these places are going to
We're
have.
asking them to go play a game. And if they don't play the game, then that's fine. And if they want to retire, that's okay too.
Yeah, but I tell you
they
this,
don't get paid to sit home.
If cops don't work, they don't get paid either. Like, just because you signed a contract doesn't mean that you cannot work. Like, that's insane. Matt Miller said people under 30 have a better chance of being murdered. No joke. Check the CDC stats. Yeah, I mean, they got a better chance of being struck by lightning than dying from this disease. That's not that we're not taking it seriously.
It's not that I want everybody to get it. And it's not that, I'm just saying that going and playing a game isn't going to change anything. And my other thought is I'm out in the world every day. I'm going to tell you, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, Kroger around here, they are packed asshole to elbow, people to people. And they have been ever since this thing started.
Yes, 100%.
I just want to know how shopping there is bad or perfectly acceptable, but going and sitting next to that same asshole I was in line with at Kroger in a ball game is wrong.
Agree.
I just don't, because, and listen, you're talking to somebody who doesn't know any of the science. I don't understand how this stuff works, but that doesn't make sense to me.
No, and it shouldn't. I mean, it absolutely should not.
I don't know how to make 2 and 2 out of that.
Let's move off of such a serious topic, and we'll get back into it again here in just a minute. But Chris sent me something interesting earlier that I've got to jump in on. I got to bring it up.
I just, you know me and apologies. I don't like apologies. Nobody ever in the world has to ever say they're sorry to me, ever for anything. I just want people to change your actions. If you did something wrong, just don't do it wrong again. Like, that's it. You don't have to say you're sorry. If it was an accident, you definitely don't have to say you're sorry. You didn't mean to do anything wrong. That's fine. When I see companies
I think you make
apologize
it worse.
for stuff,
I think you make it worse when you actually do apologize.
No, sometimes, but and this isn't like the Trump, like, I don't apologize for nothing kind of stuff. Okay. This isn't an egotistical thing. This is other people to me don't have to ever apologize to me. All right. When I watch companies apologize and say they're sorry for things, I'm always curious as to, somebody made you do that because you're a corporation. Corporations don't have feelings. And why did you apologize? Who made you bend the knee to say you're sorry? And I think this is weird.
So in South Korea, a South Korean soccer club has apologized after being accused of putting sex dolls in empty seats during a match. Now, they have been doing this all over the place. They're trying to fill up the stands.
For the television. They want it to look like bodies are in the television.
McKinnon said, you mean I don't have to apologize for saying Tom Brady isn't the best ever? You don't have to if you don't want.
The fact that you said it publicly just lets everybody know you're an idiot.
I don't know.
And now everybody gets to discredit your opinion from this point forward for the rest of your life.
I think he's the best quarterback ever. But
no, anybody who doesn't needs to bring a much better argument than McKinnon, who had him 5th.
Yeah, that's a little crazy. But
hang on, the top 4 above him was not Joe Montana or John Elway.
Yeah,
the only other 2 people that people consider an equal to him are comparable. So
yeah. So the South Korean soccer club has apologized after being accused of putting sex dolls in empty seats during a match. FC Seoul, is it Seoul? How do you say that? SEOUL.
You're outside of my realm of being able to pronounce anything.
They expressed, quote, sincere remorse over the controversy, but insisted in a statement that it used mannequins, not sex dolls, to mimic a home crowd during Sunday's 1-0 win over Gwangju FC at the World Cup Stadium. Following a weeks-long delay because of the coronavirus pandemic, the K-League returned to action on May 8th without spectators days after professional baseball began under similar conditions. The leagues plan to play in empty stadiums until the risks of coronavirus infections are lowered. And it goes into detail about this, but they reused some mannequins that previously supplied to another company and blah, 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 blah. And yeah, if you look at the picture, like honestly, unless you know exactly what that is, you're not going to know that it's sex dolls. Like, that's just goofy.
What is the difference between a mannequin and a sex doll?
Nothing other than one of them's got their mouth open.
Because I'm gonna bet that I know people that if you put them in a department store full of nothing but mannequins with faces on them, at some point in time, if nobody else is around, those friends are gonna make those mannequin sex dolls.
Yes, 100%. Ben said, by the way, Dan Marino. Look, Dan Marino, fantastic. If you're talking about the most talented quarterback,
it's fine. We're not. Listen,
Lane.
We're not doing that.
Yeah, we're not getting into that. Lane said, imagine walking into a stadium and seeing millions of sex dolls. I'd leave the first time I see it. But some people wouldn't.
There are stores, are restaurants that are opening up in our country that, to help the social distance, they're taking the tables that they weren't allowing people to occupy, and they're putting mannequins in them.
Yeah.
There's another place that I've seen a report. I didn't actually read it, but somebody else that I listened to talked about it, where this restaurant put one of those giant stuffed animals in tables so people could eat but not feel like they're eating alone. You're talking to a guy that eats by himself a lot. And I just thought that is way creepier than sitting in an empty restaurant.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Now I am not creeped out by many things. I'm not one of these guys that's like afraid of clowns or whatever. I have 2 irrational fears. That's it. Snakes and heights. And but I do find mannequins a little creepy.
Oh, they're 100% creepy. 100%. By the way, Ben and McKinnon both corrected me. It is soul. Like, that's how it's pronounced. McKinnon said, to be fair, I'm just a hillbilly. I know a lot about guns, only a little about sports. That's why I watch Winning Cures Everything. Yeah, there you go.
I appreciate that.
We definitely appreciate that. So, but yeah, it was strange to apologize for this, especially when they didn't actually do anything wrong.
Hang on.
Like,
I'm gonna guarantee you some of those dolls were sex dolls.
Maybe so, but they had masks
sex dolls
on.
is probably a lot easier than getting their hands on mannequins.
Well, mannequins are cheaper, but
who cares?
Yeah, well, that's the whole point, right?
At the end of the day,
who cares?
They're clothed. They're not sitting there naked. They're clothed.
I mean, they are.
Just sit them there.
They're all clothed, and they have the masks on to show.
I think, oh my God, they even put the mask. They did put the mask on them.
Yes.
You're right. I forgot about that picture. Listen, all I know is this. Look, you win the soccer match, you get the sex dolls in the winning locker room. That's just that comes with a game check or whatever trophy you won or whatever. You get a game ball and you get the sex doll. That's just part of it.
Ben is feeling himself today. He said, "Why does this matter? It doesn't. None of this matters. Like, none of the stuff that we talk about matters."
Why are you watching a sports show with 2 guys that don't know shit about shit?
Like, yeah,
we don't talk about anything that matters.
No, none of the stuff that we talk about has anything to do,
especially not right now,
with life. Like, it doesn't matter. But it even
You're coming here for life coaching.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you why it matters, because it's entertaining. There you go. So that's what we strive to be every single day, is entertaining.
If you're not entertained by sex dolls in South Korea, I can't help you. I just don't understand why they had to apologize.
I don't either. It makes no sense.
Look, we have a lot of sex dolls not being used, and we got a bundle package and got them on sale and
got them for cheap. And we're just trying to fill the stands. We're not focusing on the sex dolls.
Maybe we'll auction them off later.
Lane Step Gaming said, if you sit next to a mannequin, you never know if that sucker's alive. And then Damian said the difference between a mannequin and a sex doll is one's inflatable, one's made out of wood. Well, it depends on where you get the doll.
Most of those mannequins are made out of plastic. The inflatable ones are made out of plastic too. They just got air inside of them. And I'm going to tell you, not to get weird, you can poke a hole in that thing.
Yeah. Ben said, like, why are they apologizing? Well, they're apologizing because people
has
complain.
Gotten offended by this. Yeah. Somebody is, and this, I'll tell you how this makes me feel a little bit better. we're not the only country with piddly ass problems to where our people are offended by looking at a clothed mannequin with a mask on its face and saying, I think those are sex dolls. Well, how do you know that they're sex dolls? Well, because it looks like the doll you bought. Now you're a little embarrassed and everybody knows that doll you've got in the back of your house is a sex doll, and so you're upset and you want to call and complain.
There you go. Ben, by the way, said, not why does this topic matter? We apologize.
I mean to yell at you, Ben.
Yeah, we apologize for that. Hey, and that there's a good reason that we apologize, because we were actually wrong. Why they apologize, I have no idea.
Apologizing.
So I will
everybody
apologize.
Doesn't have my policy of apology. I don't want the world to think that you all must be like me. That would be a pretty terrible place to live. Yeah. I'm quite certain.
I agree.
I know you.
All right. McKinnon said, once I get over there, I'll take some pictures. We appreciate that, buddy. Let us know. Because he'll be in Korea in, like a month or so?
McKinnon's going to be one of those guys that's going to have one of those sex dolls.
100%. 100%. Good gracious. All right. Let's jump into the next topic here. This one's, back to being a little more serious. And we're going to talk about the University of South Carolina. The good news is Columbia is still planning on welcoming students back to campus this fall. The bad news, there won't be any fall break observed, as the school is attempting to look ahead to any potential return of the coronavirus during flu season. South Carolina released its official fall schedule on Monday, and what they decided was classes are going to start on August 20th. McKinnon said, just a couple weeks, you're damn right I will. Matt said, first world countries are the only one with PC problems because we don't have to walk 5 miles a day to get water. Yeah, you damn right about that. I think we'd look at life a little differently.
That's how I know we're the greatest country in the world. That's how I know we're still the greatest country in the world. Because we fight about the dumbest shit on the planet.
Oh, yeah. September 7th, Labor Day, is going to be a remote class day. Classes will be held online and asynchronous for all classes. October 15th and 16th, fall break is canceled. Classes will be held on these days. November 3rd, General Election Day, will be a remote class day. Classes will be held online and asynchronous for all classes. November 24th, face-to-face instruction will end. So basically, all the little doodad days here and there that you would typically get off, you're not. And you're probably going to do remote. Like you're going to do online
out of school earlier.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though. They have Thanksgiving break, November 25th through the 29th. Yep. And then November 30th, they have remote class day. December 1st, remote class day. December 2nd through the 4th is reading days. And then December 7th through the 14th, final exams. Now, what makes this a little bit weird, face-to-face instruction ends on November 24th. South Carolina closes the season at Clemson on the 28th. So
what does that matter? Face-to-face instruction.
Agreed. But they're
not closing campus. They're kicking people out.
No, they're not. But
no, they're not. They're absolutely not. Right now, they are not saying they're closing campus. And you can stay on campus over Christmas break all the time. I did it.
That's true. That is true. So they're going to keep people, I guess, on campus, but you will not be asked to come to class after November 24th. You don't have
an in-class thing. I don't think this is a problem.
I don't think it's a problem either. I think
this is a president.
I think it's an interesting way to go about it.
Trying to foresee a problem in the future and beginning to plan to mitigate that thing without any cost to the student, without any cost to their faculty. This is the kind of thinking I like. This is the kind of planning I appreciate. Whether it's necessary or not, it's irrelevant. You're still giving them their normal on-campus life.
Yes.
And the last couple of weeks, they're going to go to an online class thing, basically while they prepare for finals.
Yes.
That's
so
it.
The last 2 days of classes will be online, will be remote
2 days,
only.
Not even weeks.
Yeah. Ben said this is very smart, and I agree with you. I agree. I think everybody should do this.
Before it ever gets there. Man, that's all I want people to do is just an old man once taught me long time ago. I'll give you a little coaching life lesson here, a little lesson. Once taught me, a wise man learns from his mistakes. A wiser man learns from the mistakes of others. The wisest man plans for everything. And I said, what do you mean by that? And he said, one day, Chris, you're going to get married. I said, yeah. And he said, what are you going to do when you walk in the house and you find your wife sitting in tears and she tells you, I'm sorry, over the last month, I've racked up $28,000 in credit card bills on us. And you got joint count and everything. What are you going to do? How are you going to handle that? And I was like, oh my God, I got no idea. And he said, see, you need to think about that, because if that day ever comes, you can be prepared in how you want to respond or handle this, and you won't fly off the handle and throw her ass out the window. He said, this is the wisest of men. And he said, so I go through life thinking about random things that might happen to my kids, to my wife, to me, whatever.
And you're preparing.
And how would I handle that? What would I do if this happened? It takes no energy. I got enough dead time in my day to think about random crap all day long. And I like what this school president's doing. Well, I like what South Carolina's absolutely doing, is they're saying, hey, we don't know. Well, here's the thing. I know that flu season is bad every year, and it's always bad around finals, and that kills a lot of kids trying to take finals. Let's see if we can mitigate that problem. And even if we never have the coronavirus again, but we have the flu every year, maybe we can get out in front of this problem.
Yes.
And it costs us nothing. Oh, so in the middle of October, you don't get to get drunk and go somewhere for a week.
Well, it's not even a week. Fall break is just a couple of days. So basically,
well, not
it's
every
an extended
university.
weekend.
Some universities it is a week. When
I
was at Washington, it was a week.
Now, I know
that was 15 years ago.
At Memphis, it is like it's a Monday and Tuesday, and at South Carolina, it's a Monday and Tuesday, and
so that's fine. But
that's
yeah,
it.
But mixing things like that,
yeah,
also just a great idea, absolutely great idea.
Ben said,
and now you had a really long Christmas break.
Ben said, if the whole country did stuff like this and prepared before this became a pandemic, everything would be much better. Yeah, I mean, if
we
the
just have
country
to
did this,
think about what would you do if this crazy shit happened. But it's got to be things that you can control. Like if I start planning for what happens if nuclear holocaust happens, no one cares because I don't have the ability to make any decisions.
Well, and what if you prepare for the wrong thing? Like you can't prepare for every single thing.
But you prepare for a bunch of stuff, and then a lot of things kind of overlap how you would handle them.
Yeah, Damien said coronavirus is the flu. It's just a different type of coronavirus. It's not the flu, but
listen, I'm not going to get into the science of it because
we don't know the science.
It doesn't matter what we call it.
Yeah, whatever we call it, it is what it is.
People miss a lot of work in November and December because of the flu.
Yeah, 100%.
So forget about whatever this is.
So if this is, and we don't know right now that this thing will pop back up, but there's a chance that there could be a second wave of it. And it could be going down right now because
South
it is getting warmer.
Carolina will be done with their shit by then. They won't care.
Exactly. They're going to be
won't
perfectly
affect
fine.
them. Holy crap.
You got it right. You got it right. All right. We waited until the very end to discuss this. So let's go ahead and dive in. The Last Dance, episodes 9 and 10, were last night. We're going to recap it. We're going to react to it. All that wonderful stuff. Michael Jordan, maybe... I'm not going to say polarizing because he's not polarizing. Maybe the most beloved sports figure in the history of organized sports in this country. Would you say that? He is the most famous athlete maybe ever globally.
Yep. I agree with that.
It is
and
absurd.
This was before a time where anybody could really market themselves.
100%.
I mean, Nike marketed the hell out of him. But he didn't have social media. He didn't have any ways of reaching all these other people in all these other countries. And yet they all know who the hell he is.
Because he could play like nobody else. 100%. So I wrote down a few notes. Let's go ahead and talk about episode 9. Larry Bird, the coach. Michael Jordan played in an era where he got to play against Larry Bird, the player, and then he played against Larry Bird, the coach. And I found it very interesting that at the end of that Pacer series, the last thing that Larry Bird said to him before he walked off was, UBFU. That was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Lane Stapp Gaming said, never watched The Last Dance. I've heard about it. I just never had time to watch it. Well, we're going to give some spoilers here. Of course, the spoiler is that, ta-da, they won the title in 98. So everybody knew that was going to happen. It's just really all the stuff that went into it.
I think it's getting on Netflix now that ESPN's finished it, right?
I think it's like another week or so, but yeah, it's going to be on Netflix.
There's a window of time at some point in time. Netflix was part of the producers, which means they're getting the rights to this thing when it was done.
Well, it'll be on ESPN Plus and on Netflix.
It started off 9. I was so pissed off. I had not one friend to text with during this thing live because all you sons of bitches are all busy doing other stuff at 9 o'clock at night.
That's what, because we
call
just got the
bullshit on
boy
all that,
down.
by the way.
We just
I call bullshit on all that, by the way.
I did
All that.
I did
all
watch
that.
all of it last night.
You
Carlos
weren't
said
prepared at all. This is a lack of preparation on y'all's part.
Carlos said, as a Bulls fan, it frustrates me that I wasn't alive during the Bulls championship years, but this documentary made me feel like I was there for every single moment.
You got to see it, and that's awesome. Man, that's awesome.
Carlos, how old are you, man?
Well, I mean, if he was born in 2000, he's 20 years old.
Look, I was a Knicks fan when all this was going on, so at the time I hated the Bulls. I respected
That doesn't
them.
make that literally lines up with everything I know about you. Bama fan, Steeler fan, Knicks fan. That's all I need to know.
Knicks fan because they win all the time?
Oh,
I mean,
sure,
give me a break. Come on.
When you liked them in the 90s, yeah, because of Patrick Ewing and all that. Yeah, sure.
They didn't
Because
win.
they won
Michael
all the time.
Jordan won everything, man. I was only a Knicks fan because of Latrell Sprewell. That's it.
Anyway,
That's it. So he said he's 21. Man, we got some young dudes watching this. I'm good with it.
How's that young?
He's
That's
21.
like right in our wheelhouse of demographic, 18 to 25, 35.
Well, no, typically our demographic is 24, anywhere from 24 to 59.
Well,
but typically in the 30s. Like that's our main thing. But yeah, I'm good with 21. It's all good. Hey, he can drink. That's all good. And he can gamble. That's the biggest thing, right? Anyway, Reggie Miller, absolute beast. The Pacers, I mean, that 98 year, they had studs, man. Like, do you ever look back at some of your favorite sports teams and think, man, Matt Miller said he's 22. Man, wait, yeah, all right. Hopefully y'all can take some of these lessons we're giving you and just apply them. Listen to Chris. He knows what he's doing.
not responsible for the way your life turns out.
So the Pacers having dudes that year, Chris Mullin, Rick Smits, Reggie, all that kind of mess, Mark Jackson, all of this stuff going in. Hey, good Lord. Lane Staff Gaming said, I'm 16. Hey, look, you got a lot to learn, brother. It's all good. Just keep following this channel.
You're just fine. You're just fine.
You're fine. I'm just letting you know.
Gary,
we're going to give you lessons. Do you ever
You're messing this whole thing up, by the way. Episode 9 starts out absolutely on fire.
Yes.
On fire.
With the Pacer series.
First scene, the very first 20 seconds of the damn thing, Michael Jordan and Reggie Miller fist fight.
Yeah,
boom.
That's true.
Turn on the show, bam. We're getting into it right now. These two blokes don't like each other. They respect one another, but they don't like one another. And they're going at it. And Reggie ain't taking no shit from Michael.
No, you got that right.
That's how the whole thing started in 9. And I was like, holy crap. They didn't ease into this one at all, man. They just came in hot and fast.
Damian Estrada, by the way, said he's 27. So we got some dudes. I'm feeling like I'm in good company right now. What the question I'm asking you about the Pacers, because that team was absolutely stacked. They were loaded, right? If it had not been for the Bulls, I think the Pacers would have won the championship.
Yes, but the East was so much better than the West in those 90 years.
Yes, agreed. But my question to you is, do you have a favorite team that you know was loaded, that if it was not for one other team that was like a dynastic kind of team, that you know that they would have won a championship at some point?
That's a weird question to ask.
Because me being a Knicks fan back in the day,
at some point, at some point, it's a weird way to finish that.
Were there any years that you felt like the Browns were good enough, but like the Steelers got in the way, or what? No,
nope,
never.
Nope.
What about the Red Sox?
2008, 18-0, Patriots. That's it. Damn Giants.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, y'all at least won championships. I don't know how to
answer that question. No,
I mean that's a good point. You're a Boston sports fan, so I mean,
but there's not a lot of like great teams. Yes, the year before the year that they broke the curse, absolutely. Grady Little leaves Pedro in too long. Aaron fucking Boone hits one to the damn moon, and the Sox end up with the Yanks in their ass again, and it's just whatever. Yes, I think if they had won that series, they'd have won the World Series. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But they won it the next year. And then they won 4 more after that, and the Yankees have won more. So
there you go. Carlos said, Gary, you're right about the Damian said the 76ers with AI. Yeah, I could believe that.
But who stopped AI? Was it Kobe?
Yeah, it was Kobe. Like it was
during
they
never made a finals.
Say what?
So it couldn't have been Kobe that stopped them.
Yeah, that's who beat them in the finals, wasn't it?
Well,
yeah.
Oh, he made one.
He made one finals.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm not saying like every single year the same team beats them. I'm saying like you had one fantastic year and you ran up against the dynasty.
But this was just like the way you're asking this is the Pistons won all the time, and they kept the Knicks and the Celtics and the Bulls.
But even the Celtics won a ton.
And the Celtics won for a while, and they kept all those other teams.
Yeah, but the Pacers never won one.
Yes, the Pacers never won one. They could have won this one.
Yeah.
But you could say the exact same thing about the Suns and Barkley. I mean, that team was stupid loaded.
Oh, 100%.
And Barkley was without question the second best player in the world at that time.
It's just he had to go up against the best player.
And it wasn't close, and he had to go up against the best.
Damian said, damn it, the Bears should have won the Super Bowl in 06. Yeah, ran up against Peyton Manning. 2016, Matt Miller said, OKC is still depressed because I became an OKC fan because of KD, because I'm a Longhorns fan. And, yeah, obviously you lose a 3-1 lead. That just sucks. But, I mean, hey, the Warriors got beat the next series anyway. So, Lane Stab Gaming said, Pacers, if they had Oladipo and Paul George today, I think they would be contenders. Yeah, but who knows? Matt Miller said, "What?"
I don't know, man. Paul George in his prime that year, a couple of years before he blew his knee out, when they were,
they were contenders.
They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, I believe, and got beat. Maybe it was the round before that when they got beat by the Cavs. Yeah. That team was pretty damn good.
Yeah, but again, they kept running up against LeBron.
They kept running up against LeBron. Yeah, that's right.
It just sucks. Matt Miller said, "What one team in the East without the Bulls you think wins the championship?" I think the Knicks would have won it a couple of times. And then I think the Pacers
the Eastern Conference outside of
the
those
Orlando
Laker
Magic
runs,
the
East would have won every one of those. I think the Magic would have won if they ever get all the way through. The Knicks would have won if they ever gotten all the way through. I just think those teams in those primes, we saw the Celtics win, we saw the Pistons win. The Eastern Conference teams are just far better than the Western Conference teams
in the 80s and 90s. And now it's switched.
You had the Lakers and then nobody else. And then later at the very end of it, we saw Sonics had one great year.
Yep.
And then Utah had 2 great years. And that was it. The Suns had a great year. But
yeah, that's about it. So we saw Jordan's relationship with Gus. I thought that was really cool to see. You and I talked about this last week just a little bit, but the fact that Jordan really didn't have an entourage at all. He surrounded himself with older guys, his security detail, and those were the guys that he trusted with everything. Everything. I thought that was really nice to see how that went on. Lane Stapp Gaming said, I'm a Saints fan. Trust me, we always have struggles in the playoffs. Yeah, but you won one. It was a little while ago. Carlos said the Knicks lost the championship to the Rockets in 94 in the finals when Jordan went to play baseball. Yeah, I know. I was there. I saw it all. It sucked. The Rockets were good. They won 2 straight. Like, I get it. But either way, I think there were some years that the Knicks could have won the championship had it not been for the Bulls. So, either way. Steve Kerr's dad being shot in Beirut, that was an interesting
something I didn't know about.
Yeah, I had no idea about that. Like, crazy to think about it. And Steve Kerr admitting he didn't get girls. He only got one scholarship offer. And he got a scholarship to Arizona when his dad became president of American University in Beirut. Like, the timing on that was just insane. Like, could you imagine if Steve Kerr was down there, like, the next year? I mean, if he would say he was a senior in high school and his dad took that job, he would have been down in the middle of all that. Like,
no, because the rest of his family didn't go.
No, his mom was down there.
No, his mom wasn't. His mom stayed in UCLA in LA.
No, I thought
she was a professor there. You watch this at all?
No, I thought I did. I thought she said she got. Oh, she went to the UCLA president's office. Hey, you're right. Okay, sorry, I got twisted on that. Hey, buddy, come here. Let's talk about Michael Jordan. All right. So apparently we're going long today. All right. So Steve Kerr, all that kind of stuff. Steve Kerr is John Paxson. Bless you. Steve Kerr is John Paxson, 100%. Like, you go back and watch them, the way that they work and everything, they are unbelievable. So,
well, I mean, yeah, John Paxson taught him how to do that.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
He wouldn't be John Paxson without Paxton being Paxton.
Good gracious. I don't know what's going on with this boy. Yes, no, you're right. He would not be John Paxson without John Paxson. 100%. 100%. And then finally, the last thing that I wrote down from episode 9 was Jordan being poisoned in Utah. How did none of us know about this? How was this kept under wraps?
Well, I think it was pretty well known that it was food poisoning, but I don't know that I never heard the story that it was
he was poisoned by somebody. Yeah. Like, I don't think we had ever heard that, and that was absolutely bonkers. Like, the fact that it wasn't a fluke. Now, I had heard, like, it was he was hungover. I had heard he had been out gambling all night. Like, I heard all kind of stuff. But I did not hear that he was food poisoned. No. I got no idea. So, boy, he is just all over the place today. So, yeah, that was a very interesting portion of that. And the fact that, like, so the producer of it was on an ESPN show today, by the way, and said that pizza that came, everybody else was going to eat a slice of it, but Jordan spit on it so that nobody else would eat it. Did you hear that?
I hear that.
I mean, it goes to show, because he was really hungry. Everybody else has had dinner already, and he wanted the pizza, so he
had dinner too. He just got hungry in the middle of the night.
There you go. So McKenna said, "Hey, Jess and Link." So Carlos, no, let's start with Michael. Michael said, "Thoughts on MJ eating the whole pizza in a room full of guys?" Oh, there you go. And did you hear he spit on the pizza? Yeah, we heard about that. And Carlos said, "I wonder what size the pizza was since he ate the whole thing." It's probably large. I mean, I'd imagine.
I don't know.
I mean, if you're going to order a pizza, like, you want to make sure you got plenty. Like, what is it, a couple bucks more for a large as opposed to a medium? I mean,
I've never ordered a medium pizza before in my life.
There you go.
I don't know why you would.
See, that's the thing. Like, why? Like, it's a couple extra bucks, and if you don't eat all of it, you got a fridge. It's all good. So, either way, let's jump into episode 10. The Bulls had 2 days rest before going to Utah, and Utah had home court. And I remember this at the time, but, like, you lose sight of it back then, but Utah had a better regular season record that year. The Bulls were damn good, and Utah had a better record.
No, but the West was just bad, really bad.
Yeah, and Utah was just better than everybody else. Let's see. Lane Stapp Gaming said, "I thought when I heard he had food poisoning, I thought he was talking about him not having the flu, but having he was poisoned. He was 100%.
Yeah, it wasn't normal food poisoning. He was actually. We think the pizza was actually poisoned."
Michael said, "I think the producer also said that he did it often. He spit on, like, brownies and stuff like that so that people wouldn't eat it."
Stingy ass man.
Believe that. Matt said, "How do you even poison a pizza? Like, what do they have? Spoiled cheese or meat laying around?"
No, I'm sure. Oh yeah, I'm sure they've got old meat, which it doesn't have to be that old
you
to
could
be
put
bad.
Any kind of stuff on, like X-Lax.
And then the easiest way to do it, we've all seen, like, Wedding Crashers, like just Visine. Just drip Visine all over it.
Yeah. I mean, there's easy ways to do it, but it's like, and it's not like it's going to kill somebody.
Nope. It'll make you really sick
and make you really tired for the next game.
Yeah.
That's it. So, but yeah, so 2 days rest, and then you got to go to Utah, where we know the air is thinner anyway. That's pretty intense. They talked about Michael the Mystic, always present, in his quote, "Why would I think about a shot I haven't taken yet?" That kind of stuck with me a little bit. Like, I thought that was very interesting. Like, and I understand, like, you're always preparing for that stuff, but why would you worry about it? Right?
Well, he said, "Why would I think about missing a shot I haven't taken yet?"
What did I say?
Just blatantly.
Oh, why would I think about a shot? Sorry.
I think he thought about shots all the time.
Oh, yeah, but why would I think about missing a shot?
I don't think he ever thought about missing a shot.
Agreed.
So that changes the quote a lot.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I just misspoke.
Because one is you're not preparing, you're not thinking at all, and then the other one is I just never think about failure.
Let's see. Michael said, "Better question. Who the hell told the pizza place MJ was ordering pizza? Like, don't you keep that stuff on the low?" I think they do now. I think Michael Jordan had a knack. I'm gonna tell you, like, they talked about how, like, everybody kind of knew. They knew the hotel it was going to, which is the Bulls Hotel. I think people just. He had been in the league. He'd been around. He'd been coming to Utah for years to play. I think you just get in routines. Oh,
I mean, every time I go into Cleveland, I eat pizza at the same pizza place. Like, I'm there once a year, but they know who I am. Like, they recognize me when I walk. Like, and I'm not famous. I'm not anybody.
But they know
these
you.
I think these places know.
Oh, 100%. And I think it's
they
a little
knew
bit different
somebody
now.
from the Bulls was ordering because it was going to the Bulls team hotel.
Yes, but I think nowadays somebody would go pick it up, and they would order it under a different name and all sorts of because they.
Things are a lot different today.
Yeah, but back then, I think Michael Jordan had a knack for, like, trusting people and expecting the best.
But we also live in a different world where today, like, they would be doing DNA evidence on that pizza, and somebody would, the FBI would get involved.
Yeah, 100%. Because that kind of stuff they pay attention to now. Back then, it was just fun. It was just games.
It was the
whatever.
90s. Yeah, it was college prank.
Jordan's kids talking about the Utah crowd. I thought that was interesting. Like, that's the point that they bring in the kids. It's kind of a weird spot, I thought. Am I crazy for that?
No, I mean, I think they were just trying to imply how bad the Utah crowd was to people who weren't around in the 90s.
The next thing, Rodman leaving after Game 3 to go to the WCW event with Hulk Hogan, joining NWO right after a finals game, missing practice and all that. And, I mean, you're not going to suspend him. Like, I think what Rodman said is right. Like, Phil understood to get the most out of him, I got to let him go do what he wants to do. Like, you can fine him or whatever, but I'm not going to keep him out of the game. Like, we got to have him. So, what are you going to do? You just let him do what he does, and you trust him. And I think that was Phil's biggest thing. As a coach, even with the Lakers, you trust your players until they burn you. And Rodman, to his credit, honestly, never really burned him.
Nope. Came back, played his ass off.
100%. I wrote down Carmen Electra. Carmen Electra's 48 years old. Now, we talked about this a little bit ago, but, man, like, she showed up again last night. I think she looked better at 48 than she did, like, when she was with Rodman. What are your thoughts?
She's pretty amazing.
She's pretty smoking.
Pretty amazing.
Michael said the media would go crazy with Rodman. Imagine if social media was around with Rodman. Yeah, 100%.
Well, so many things would be different if social media was around throughout history.
Oh, yes. Oh, without question. Without question.
I mean, can we think of Wilt Chamberlain in the Me Too era? I mean, really?
Think about Michael Jordan with all his gambling stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that would be insane. The Bulls did not close out Game 5 at home. Now, this happened multiple times. They had chances to close out series at home, and this was not the only one where they just didn't get it done. Like, it seemed like they worked better under pressure. Like, and I think there's a lot of teams that are like that, but I wonder, did you feel that way?
You're asking them to beat every team in 5 games.
I'm not saying in 5 games.
That has nothing to do with pressure. It's just really hard to beat somebody in 5 games.
Agreed.
But they played he didn't play a single Game 7.
No, he played, it was like 2 games. It was the.
But they weren't in the finals?
Oh, no, not in the finals. No, you're right. So
that has nothing to do with the pressure. It's just hard to beat somebody in 5. But give them 1 extra game to prepare and get tape on you, and it's over.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You can't knock somebody for losing and not winning in Game 5, but also never seeing Game 7. Like, that's insane.
That's okay. You have a valid point.
He played 2 Game 7s his entire career.
But I look at it as they were more capable of closing out a series on the road as opposed to closing it.
No, disagree with that completely.
I'll let you disagree all you want to.
Because here's the thing. If they had home field advantage, they wouldn't have closed it out on the road. It would have been closed out at home.
True. Okay.
In some of those years, they did have home field advantage. In some of them, they didn't. It's just kind of how it falls.
Yeah.
Hard to beat somebody in 5. Game 6 ends it a lot more than not. And, Game 7s are rare.
Yeah, and a road team winning a Game 7 is incredibly rare. Incredibly rare. After Game 6, Michael Jordan's quote, "They can't quit, or they can't win until we quit." I thought that was pretty awesome. I mean, that's a good quote. So, I mean, he's got a ton of good quotes. Did you notice how much media was in his hotel room after that?
Yeah.
That was pretty insane. I mean, it just a ton of people.
I think that was his security team. I think that was his entourage.
With all the cameras and the lights and everything?
Mm-hmm. I think he let those people in to do this documentary. They knew they were doing that. They knew they were having this footage put together for so long. Even when they were like sneaking Rodman, that wasn't normal media because they were hiding him from the media. But how did we have cameras on him?
The producers of the documentary were completely different. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. Matt Miller said, "I would love to watch Kobe and Shaq versus MJ, Pippen, and Rodman." Yeah, 100%. I mean, but I mean, obviously you got the same coach for both of them. So, I mean, who knows? Damian Estrada said, "Damn, I miss WCW." And Lane said, I'm a WWE fan.
What all I got from that was man, Monday Nitro used to be the shit.
Yeah, it did. Lane Stapp Gaming said, I'm a WWE fan. I never knew he did that with the NWO, especially during a big series for a championship.
Yeah. So the next week after the series is over with, Karl Malone signs a WCW deal and comes back, and Karl Malone and DDP team up to fight Hogan and Rodman in the next like SummerSlam or whatever it was, pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I remember that like it was yesterday.
That's Jose said Tony Kukoc scores 20 points. It was that close. Yeah. 100%.
No, this was so we're talking about 9, right? Not 10?
Yeah. Well, no, we're talking about 10 now.
Okay. That was Kukoc's best series of all of them.
Yes.
Before the sixth ring, Kukoc never really showed up or had a great season. That's when Kukoc finally started hitting his stride.
Oh, yeah. Now, he had big moments. And he played some, but not in the playoffs. No. Not
in the playoffs. He never showed up. And like Steve Kerr's like some ungodly shooting percentage or whatever in the playoffs and stuff. And it's unbelievable. But realistically, until he hits that game-winning shot they covered in 9, he'd come up super small in the first 2 years of the playoffs. And he hit one big shot to end the game and win the finals for ring number 5.
Yeah. Well, no, not even the finals, was it? It was
finals.
Oh, it was the finals.
It was to end it all.
That's right. Michael asked, do they get 7?
No.
I think it's not likely. I think they had a really strong chance. But that team was getting older.
Jordan was gassed at this thing. Pippen was getting beat up, and then Pippen was never great after that.
Rodman wasn't focused anymore.
Yeah. Rodman wouldn't have come back. I'm going to tell you that right now. They wouldn't have brought Rodman back for the 1 year, so then they got to replace him. And I don't know who you're replacing him with. Without Rodman, they don't win at all. I mean, you do see Jordan still needed teammates for number 6.
Oh, yeah.
Like he talks about how, I about died when Pippen went out of the game in game 6. He was just like, I don't know how we're going to win this. Like, I don't know how this is going to happen. I can't do this all by myself. I need somebody with me. That's when you saw how little the rest of those players, because everyone names off all these other guys that played with him. Oh, he had Kukoc and he had Kerr and he had all these guys because we know their names. No. We only know their names because they played with Jordan. Because Jordan knew without Pippen, the rest of those guys were worthless.
Yeah.
That team was shit.
Let's see. Matt Miller said Rodman is 39. At that point, Rodman would have been 39. They would have played San Antonio, who had Duncan and Robinson. Like that would have been tough.
Well, yeah. And that's so Bill Simmons talks about this on their podcast last week, I believe. They got into it before this week's thing happened because they kind of knew where it was going. The reason the Utah gave them hell was because Utah's matchup with Karl Malone was so bad for them because finally they ran into a player Jordan couldn't guard because of size and position.
Yeah.
Okay. And Pippen really couldn't guard him because of size. These are 2 on-ball defenders, and they don't really play big men. And they have no big man that really can hang or guard with them. And Rodman, who used to be elite, his skills have diminished so much by this point in time, not from the part of it, just he's old. He's getting old. Life is hitting him. Now you're having to play a team with 2 of those guys the next year against the Spurs. I don't think they would have won, but I appreciate Jordan's aspect of we should have got to play until we lost.
Yeah.
In basketball, you keep the court until somebody beats you.
100%.
And I have an appreciation for that, and I hate that we didn't get to see it, but we got to get out of the aspect that the only reason he was great is because he never lost a championship. And had he played for 7 and lost 7, I don't know that would have hurt his legacy. We got to stop that. The fact that he could have made it to that one, to a 7th, is an unbelievable feat.
Matt Miller said, just like 94, 95, I think they would have split with the Rockets. Yeah.
I think they would have. I don't think they sweep both of those. People say, oh, they would have had 8 if he played both. Man, I don't know that they get 8. I know they get 8 because those Rocket teams were really good.
Yeah. Let's see. Michael said he was built differently. Imagine if he would have went and joined the Jazz the next year. Yeah, it's like the Durant thing.
So the thing that people speculate about, and Simmons brought this up because this is outside of what we got from the doc, and this is where you need an NBA expert that's kind of an NBA historian. Him and Ryan Russillo talk about this on their podcast that came out today. They brought up and talked about if we don't have the lockout and we have a normal offseason and a normal season start, they fully believe that Jordan would have come back. He wouldn't have played for the Bulls ever again, and he probably would have ended up with the Knicks. Now, because we had this weird offseason, the Knicks went and traded for Latrell Sprewell, and therefore they didn't have the trade assets to get a guy like Jordan or the salary cap to get a guy like Jordan.
100%.
But if we would have had a normal offseason, maybe he could have found ways to make that happen. And then I would have liked to have seen what he would have done with that New York team.
We'll roll through some of these comments really quick and answer as much as we can, and then I've got 3 more notes that are super fast. Lane Stapp Gaming said, if Michael Jordan was playing now with all the best talent like LeBron, Curry, etc., would he still be the greatest of all time? Yes. It's just a different mindset.
Those other guys wouldn't be as great just because he needs help, but he ain't going to let you take 20 shots. I mean, Curry even talked about Kerr was the second best scorer outside of Pippen on that team, and he was lucky to get 5 shots a game.
Yeah. And you better make them count. Otherwise, you won't get the ball again.
So just think about the volume of like Klay Thompson and all these other guys, and like you don't know their names because they're only shooting it 5 to 6 times instead of 35 times.
Exactly. Matt Miller said, look at 95. They didn't have Horace Grant. They suffered. They needed that gritty rebounder to be the third guy.
Yeah, they needed a rebounder. He always had to have a big man.
Well, and a defensive guy. Like you got to have somebody that can play defense and get rebounds, like period.
Yes.
Damien said, do you think MJ would have returned to the Bulls instead of going to the Wizards? That's the question we just answered. Would the Bulls have won a 7 championship? Michael said he was built differently. Imagine if he went, let's see. Michael said he's not like the self-proclaimed King James. No, he didn't.
They're very different.
He did call himself Black Jesus. So I think that
a
King
reporter
James
called himself Black Jesus.
No. He called himself that to Reggie Miller. Like, remember?
I thought Reggie's a teammate of Reggie said, "Don't ever piss off Black Jesus."
No. Michael Jordan told him that.
No.
Yeah, he said, "Don't ever talk trash to Black Jesus."
Jokingly, kind of at what point they slipped it in the dock and they never really lingered on it to stayed on it long, and they got out of it on the bus. Somebody said something about God, and Jordan said, "You're talking to God." And and then he laughed. He was like, "No, I'm just kidding. That's it.
He said that in the security room.
Maybe it was then. Maybe it was in a time where they were just hanging out.
It was a security room. Somebody was asking for tickets. I remember this now. Somebody asking for tickets, and he said, "I don't care where they are. They could be up there next to God." And he said, "God just gave you the tickets."
Like, yeah, that's right. That's it. God gave him the ticket. And then he tried to walk it back. He tried to walk it back because he didn't like doing that. But
he thought highly of himself. Like, you gotta have that gene. You gotta have that if you're gonna be a champion, man. Jose said Pacers versus Knicks made it hard for the Pacers to beat the Bulls. 100%. 100%. I mean, come on.
Warm down.
Matt Miller said there's more possessions now, so there are more shots to go around. Yeah, the game is completely different now. Like, trying to compare eras is just
You just
it's
can't.
Foolish.
You just can't. And like Jordan didn't shoot threes at that kind of rate, but do you think if he played in this rate, he wouldn't take one off season and shoot 10,000 threes and then come back and be the best 3-point shooter in the game?
Oh, I'd believe it.
Because I say the same thing about Larry Bird. Like, Larry Bird never shot 3-pointers. Like, he would if he played today.
But a lot of his career, they didn't even have a 3-point line. Like,
but yeah, most of his career they didn't. And then when they implemented it, they just wasn't part of the game. Like, you shot maybe 3 threes a game a team.
Yeah, you take the higher percentage shot. Like, we didn't have
that was just the way the game
back
was played back then. The math is different. We see things differently now. And I fully believe that those great players then would dominate now strictly because they would learn to play the game the way it is.
Yes. Michael said basketball has changed drastically since then and has gotten much worse. MJ's NBA is black and white compared to today's NBA. 100%. Exactly what we just said.
Now, I do believe that I'm not one of these guys where older is always better. I think the prime window of basketball was the Lakers-Celtics rivalry through the Jordan Pistons-Bulls.
Yes.
And I think that was the window where basketball was at its greatest. Through that, you had the Lakers dynasty, you had the Celtics dynasty, second one. Then you had Bad Boys Pistons dynasty,
and then you had
the Bulls dynasty. And in there, the Rockets get two. Well, I guess that would be the Rockets dynasty too. I mean, they
two in a row is pretty good.
The West. Yeah. So, and then you had a lot of other great teams. Those Suns teams were great. Those Sonics teams were great. And this is all kind of in the same 10-year span. And now every year we start the season with 3 good teams. This year we were real excited because we thought there was 5 teams that might have a shot at winning the title before the season started. Like that's insane.
Oh, 100%. But now I will say this, the salary cap and the rules and whatnot were different back then. You couldn't go just build a super team.
Well, look at who the third scoring option was on these teams. So the Bulls' third scoring option was it became Kukoc, but you're talking about a guy that
got one scholarship offer in college
on his best game.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about. I mean, if you look at the Lakers are the second best team in the NBA right now, and they've got Anthony Davis and LeBron, and I mean Kuzma hadn't exactly been killer. You got Rajon Rondo. You got, who's their third best? I mean, it is what it is.
Well,
right?
I don't know, but the game's just different.
It's completely different. Completely different. Jose,
the competition's different though. Like there aren't any other really good teams. There's like I said, there's five really good teams in the league, and that's it. That's the list.
Carlos said, "Do you guys agree that the '95 Bulls team would beat the Warriors team with Durant, or does it depend on the era? I feel that the Bulls team would win in both eras." I mean, I
do think, but if they were going to play in the today's era, then you would need the Bulls team to transition how they play to win.
Yeah,
they couldn't have played the way they played in '95 and win.
I think the Bulls' mentality was better than the Warriors. I think the Warriors were just so much better than everybody else because they had more talent than everybody else.
It was just pure talent.
Yeah. But I
they
don't
also
think
didn't have anybody else to play against them that had any type of killer instinct whatsoever.
Yeah.
Klay Thompson and Steph Curry would not be who they are if they had to play against Michael Jordan
and they're not the same players when they don't have Draymond Green on the court.
No, and Draymond wouldn't have been the same guy if he actually had to go up against a guy like Horace Grant or a guy like
Karl Malone,
the Worm,
whatever, or Dennis Rodman, whatever.
Dennis Rodman, that's it.
But let's see. Matthew said also the 3-point line is like 2 feet further back now. When the Bulls were shooting those long threes in practice at Utah, that's a normal shot now. Like, it was pretty long, but yeah, I mean it's definitely the game has changed. The game has completely changed.
The game's just changed. But there's no doubt that those guys from that era could learn to play this way. The problem is none of the guys in this era, outside of LeBron and probably Kawhi and Giannis, because of the bodies they have, I don't think any of them survive in the era back then. It was just too physical.
Yeah.
They get beat up on. I think Kevin Durant would get beat the hell up. I think Steph is too small. Like, the reason we have the stigma that small guys can't play in the NBA is because we all were products of growing and watching the NBA in the 90s.
Yes.
And we saw, you a little man, you can't play.
Oh, yeah. You just get beat up. Unless you're Muggsy Bogues.
Beat out of you. Well, now you don't, but it's hard to forget how hard it was for little guys back then.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
and so
you
we
had to
still
be
have
tough.
that stigma carried over, and it's not there.
Yeah. Jose said, yes, preach. Damian said, MJ is God. If he was at the lottery draft last year, the Bulls would have definitely gotten Zion last year. So you're probably right. All right, last 3 notes I got for this. Scotty giving credit to Jerry Krause was good. Like, they waited until the last episode to do it, but somebody finally talked good about Jerry Krause. Look, he built that team. He built them from the ground up. He drafted Scottie Pippen. He drafted Michael Jordan. Like,
he didn't draft Jordan.
He didn't draft, but he did draft all the pieces that went around him.
He drafted everybody around Jordan's championship teams.
He built the team.
Not a single player was there before he got there.
Yeah, he traded and signed guys that he needed to fit and build the right team for Phil Jackson and for Michael Jordan. He tried to get Charles Barkley
instead of Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
He tried. He couldn't do it. That's a good GM's job. He's trying to put the best players around his guy to build this dynasty.
Now, did he, I can see where he was coming from with breaking up the team. I do think it was a bad decision, but I see where he was coming from. And Jerry Reinsdorf said the same thing at the end of it with, he said his reasons, I think, may have been sound, right? The value for these players with their contracts coming up and everything,
yes.
Their value was not the same as it would have been.
Today, 100%, every analytical person in the world would have done exactly what Jerry Reinsdorf did.
Yeah.
And Jerry Krause. 100% of them would have done it in today's basketball.
Now
we keep Jordan and we let everybody else go, and if Jordan won't play, sorry.
Yeah.
Because they care about value and analytics, and the analytics say you don't pay for past performances, which means Pippen's gone.
Yeah.
You don't pay for past performances, which means Kerr's gone. These guys are going to demand too much money to continue to play, and they're not worth it. Not that they're not good, they're just not worth the dollars they're asking for. Different.
Yes, incredibly different.
Build young talent around stars.
Now, the whole thing with – now, I will say this. I think you made a mistake by saying that it was Phil Jackson's last year. Now, I understand they had differences of opinions on a lot of different things, right? But I don't think that you can fire a coach after winning 6 championships in 8 years. That's just ridiculously dumb. Now, the Grizzlies did it with Lionel Hollins, not after a championship, but after making it to the Western Conference Finals, and then they let him go. Now, you can say that's smart, that's dumb, whatever, but the Grizzlies never got back there, and the Bulls hadn't been back either. So, it is what it is. Jose said...
No, the Phil thing is different than all the players, okay? The Phil situation is different, and I get it from a GM standpoint. This is where he let ego get in his way.
Yes.
Coaches were now starting to make more money than general managers, and that wasn't the case. Before Phil... Before Pat Riley, before the premier coaches, Larry Bird, coaches didn't make that much money.
Agreed.
And they made about the same as a general manager, if not a little less than the GM. And now they're getting to make more, and he took it personal. And that was his fault. That was his downside. But you can't blame everything on him.
No. He made good decisions. He made great decisions.
He was an unbelievable personnel guy. He really was.
Oh, he absolutely was. The last thing I've got written down, Phil lighting the paper in the can. So his whole thing about the last time they would ever see each other together, all that kind of mess, incredibly impactful, very important part of this documentary. Jordan, for the first time, really showed his emotional side, showed how much he appreciated the other guys on the team as opposed to pushing them because there was nothing to work towards anymore.
Yeah.
So once you get past that point, then you can really let your true colors out and show everybody, hey, you meant a lot to me, etc. Jordan writing a poem was interesting, an interesting way of going about it. Everybody, and they said it was an incredibly emotional meeting. I was very interested in that. I wasn't shocked by it because you would almost expect it at that point, but I thought it was a good way to end the documentary talking about that and them saying just how important that meeting was, where they put all the papers in a coffee can, they turn off the lights, they light the papers, and everything just goes up in smoke. I would have loved to have seen what some of these guys wrote, what they said. Obviously, they didn't let the documentarians in the meeting because that's a very personal meeting, even more personal than documentaries and whatnot. I'm glad that they didn't. I would have loved to have seen it, but I'm glad that part of it was kept to them, that they have that for just themselves. I thought it was a great way to close out the documentary. Overall, this was fantastic. I thought it was great. I mean, it gave us exactly what we needed at a time that we really needed it.
No, I agree. I completely agree.
Anything that stood out to you that I didn't write out?
No, we covered most all of it.
Yeah. So. I figured, I had a whole thing of notes and a whole thing of notes last week and this week and whatnot, but, it was such a good documentary, so many people talking about it, and, it's stuff that you and I remember. I'm watching those games back, and I'm like, I remember watching this live. And I was a kid, but I remember all of this, watching it live, and it was just riveting television. Riveting. ESPN did a good job with this. I was happy. They are showing on Wednesday night the final Game 6 in HD with all the behind-the-scenes stuff and whatnot, like different footage and everything. And ESPN, I think, is going to do massive numbers for that as well. I think a lot of people are going to watch it. I plan on it. I know I'm going to DVR it, but depending upon when it happens, like when it actually, I think it comes on at, 8 Central?
I don't know.
Who knows?
I'll come in the fourth quarter probably.
Probably.
There's just no reason to rewatch an entire game like that, and especially after this doc. I just saw it. I just saw all the meaningful moments.
Yeah.
So all we're gonna get in watching the game is all the dead time.
No, you're probably right. You're probably right.
And I get to see Kukoc's 20 points because he didn't show any of them in the doc.
No, you get that right. They didn't show. I mean, they didn't show a whole lot of the actual game to get us into that point, but they showed us the important stuff. That's what matters. Is there anything else that we need to hit today?
That's it, brother.
That is it. We went a little long, but hopefully you guys were entertained. That's what we strive to do every day. If you're new, we appreciate you hopping in. Everybody that jumped in on the chat, we hit well over 100 again today. You guys are fantastic for that. We do appreciate it. Share the show out. Tell your friends about it. Make sure that you are subscribed on whatever platform you are watching or listening on. We thank everybody that came in from Costa Rica and across the country. All you young dudes, keep coming in. We appreciate you. But for now, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share out the show, leave a nice review, and make sure to comment